Hey, welcome to Sports and Politics with T. I'm your host, Tanya. Tonight we have made it back to Thursday, guys. Listen, I hope everybody's enjoyed their week so far. We have made it. It is July the 16th, guys. Already over halfway the month. Already over, y'all. Listen, again, I hope everybody's enjoyed their week. Only one more day till the weekend. And look, we've had some record-breaking weather for the last couple days. Where I am, we've been in the hundreds. You heard it here. That's right. 100-degree weather. Yesterday was 102, and I think today was right at 100, 99, 100. So it's a scorcher, y'all. This summer is just beginning, believe it or not. So we got a little ways to go before the fall. But I hope y'all are staying in the cool, and I hope everybody is just taking it easy and not doing too much out in this hot weather. Tonight we're going to talk about a lot of things going on as far as the economy. We are going to take a look at CNN, which is the first segment. We definitely are going to look at some of the numbers as far as inflation and how we are headed for this year. Are we getting better or are we getting worse? We're going to take a look at this segment again from CNN. And also on the second segment, we're going to look at the Nolan Wells case. More information is coming out about this young man that lost his life during the 4th of July break. It looks like, allegedly, that we may have some audio and some GPS information on the boat ride where he was on. So we're going to take a look at that on the Willie D section. And we're going to dissect that video once that's over as well. So let's go ahead and get started for tonight. Again, this is talking about Donald Trump and, of course, the economy. I'm going to let you know how I feel about this segment once it's over. And then we're going to dissect this video after it's complete.
More about inflation in America with Chief Data Analyst Harry Enton. All right, and consumer inflation did improve in June, but did Trump's numbers among Americans improve along with it?
No, not really. I mean, look, the inflation numbers may be coming down from very high levels, but the American people aren't moving along with those levels. You could just see it right here. I mean, take a look at the trend here. Trump's net inflation on approval, on inflation, look at this. In January of 2025, he was at minus 6 months. Then he hit rock bottom in May of 2026, according to the Ipsos poll, he's at minus 50 months. Did he improve? Yeah, maybe a tiny bit at minus 47 points. But the bottom line is the long-term trend for Donald Trump's net approval rating on inflation is down, down, down. These are numbers that wreck presidencies. These are numbers that Republicans do not want to see going into a midterm election. Even if this slightly lower number holds, you can bet that Republicans would be in for a whole heck of a lot of pain come November.
All right, I love it when you take us back in history and give us comparisons. So compare these numbers with other presidents.
Yeah, okay, so you see this minus 47, right? How does that sort of put its place in history? It's historically bad at this point in a presidency. I mean, just take a look here. Net approval rating on inflation about this time in a presidency. Jimmy Carter, of course, inflation ruined his presidency. He was down there at minus 44 points. How about Joe Biden, according to the Ipsos poll in June of 2022? Look at this. He was at minus 43 points. Who takes the cake at the worst, at least according to Ipsos? Take a look there. Donald John Trump at minus 47 points. All these numbers are bad. They're all in the same neighborhood. They're sort of within the margin of error of each other. But if you're looking at these two numbers and you understand history and you understand how inflation impacts presidencies, you do not want to be, if you're Donald John Trump, in the brotherhood with Joe Biden and Jimmy Carter on inflation, because inflation ruined their presidencies. And unless this number improves, and given that the gas prices seem to be climbing higher again, it probably won't. That means, as I said, a whole heck of a lot of pain for Republicans come the midterms.
There is a fallout. The Iran war starting up again.
Yes.
That means prices go up. Then people get pissed. Sorry, for lack of a better word. I know your mother's not happy with that.
So
one last thing.
Loves you.
A lot of people, and I love her back, a lot of people will look at this and say, hey, look, the world has been dealing with inflation. America is dealing with the same thing. Like, what's the big deal? What are you saying?
Yeah, I mean, just take a look here. Inflation the past year, the rest of the G7 average, look at that, 2.5%. The United States CPI, even worse at 3.5%. I'll note that Joe Biden in his final year inflation, the CPI was 3%. We are still at a worse level right now than Joe Biden saw in his final year. No wonder the American people are pissed off.
All right, Harry, and I made you use the word. We're both going to get our hands slapped by Madam Enton, but it's fine.
If you zoom in, then you see things like auto insurance costs are way down, in part because law enforcement has picked up, there aren't so many people having their cars stolen and so on because of bringing order to the streets. We see food prices doing a great job. Tomato prices down 10%. Across the board, drug prices, the biggest decline in drug prices ever, all the way back to World War II because of President Trump's policies.
Check this out. I'm going to show you how I afforded this card. Okay, you ready? All right, $118 for car insurance. That's how much I was paying, okay? I picked up...
Okay, so what is the full story? Dave Goldman is there. You see him with the tomato, which I will tell you, little behind-the-scenes information for our viewers. Dave Goldman just drew that tomato during the break, and that is very impressive. Not only can you draw, you can explain the economy to us.
That's right. Take that, Harry Enton. Let's see you do that. There's a debate in the newsroom if it's an apple or a tomato, but we'll go with it. I mean, I think that what Kevin Hassett just said is really interesting, though, Dana, because he said if you zoom in, right? But that's not how people experience the economy. They experience it in its totality. And he is right. Tomato prices fell 10% in the past month. But over the past year, they're up almost 20%, right? And so prices are rising overall, and that's why these things are really expensive. He also talked about insurance. Well, yeah, over the past year, car insurance is down 4%, but it was up 46% over the course of 22 to 24. So, it depends on how you look at it. And that, I think, is really important when we're looking at the headline number, because we gained 3.5% over the past year. It was the biggest monthly decline since the pandemic. It was actually the only monthly decline that we've had since the pandemic. But if you pull out just a little bit, what happened? It was almost all energy prices, right? Energy prices, we know, tumbled last month because gas and oil prices fell as the Strait of Hormuz opened up again. But what's going on with oil prices? Today, they're up another 2%. And because of everything that's been going on in the Strait of Hormuz and Iran, we are now back up to $84, almost $85. Remember, we were at $71 a barrel not so long ago, just at the beginning of the month. So certainly a huge increase in oil. Actually, oil is up 21% this month alone. Gas futures are up 12%, and that could mean that we'll have higher prices at the pump. So all of this is really, really important context as we're talking about prices, Dan.
Such important context. I didn't realize that the car insurance, obviously I knew it was expensive, but that it had gone up that much.
A lot.
But things going down is always a good thing, going in the right direction. So
we'll take it.
We'll continue to monitor it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're joined now by Justin. Justin, it has been so long. I'm so happy, always happy to have you on the show. It's been a while. Justin Wolfers is Professor of Public Policy and Economics at the University of Michigan. So just in terms, just to follow on from what David was saying there, I mean, you have a situation whereby both the US and Iran are vying for control over the Strait of Hormuz. You have commercial shipping vessels having to really assess the damage and the sort of dangers, rather, of traveling through the strait. A lot of people are going to think it's not worth it. We don't necessarily know if the US can actually have any control over the Strait of Hormuz or charge these tolls or keep ships safe. I mean, all of that is up in the air at this point. In the meantime, where do you see oil prices headed, Justin?
Well, really the question is, how long does the strait stay closed for? And is it closed? You wake up one day, it's open. You wake up the next day, it's closed, open, closed. It's sort of like my dog likes to come into my house and out of my house, so I'm always opening and closing the door. That feels like the Strait of Hormuz right now. He's a good dog. The real problem, though, this is serious, Zane. the real problem is if people can't be sure that the door's going to remain open, they're not going to be willing to send ships up. And so the longer that we get these supply disruptions, the more we're going to see oil start to shoot back up towards $100 again. So, look, a couple of things are true at the same time. Oil's not as high as it was, so things got better. But when I say things got better, oil is definitely a lot higher than it would have been if we hadn't have gone to war with Iran. And if things continue to worsen, if there's more escalation, you can expect oil prices to go back up again.
And you know what? That's so true what he just said as far as the gas prices. I've noticed, and just in the last week or two, early part of July, it came down a little bit. I'm going to say the end of June going into the early part of July, it was coming back down. But now, I went to the gas station this afternoon. It has shot up another 50 to 60 cents more than just this past weekend. So, at one point we were pushing almost $5 a gallon. Now we're in the mid fours. It's not getting better. Yes, the rate of inflation, and I think what they're trying to say is inflation is not rising as fast. However, it's not coming down either. So it's almost like on one end, it's good that we're not getting as high as inflation in certain things. But at the same time, we're not at the lowest point where we used to be, right? And everybody can remember how gas prices were just a year or two ago. So this war, I'm telling you, is what's triggering all of this, guys. Not to mention bad policies, but this war is not helping. So hopefully we won't be in war that long. Hopefully once this war is over, things can kind of get back to normal. But until then, you're going to see fluctuations in gas prices, food prices. The tariffs are affecting, of course, the food and the materials and things like that for all of our products and services. So it's really taken a deep toll on the Americans' pockets. Not just America, but pretty much the world is suffering as well. But I only want to speak for America because I know just living here what it entails, right? And we know that a bag of Doritos is almost $7. We know that a watermelon is getting up to about $10, right? We know that ground beef is around $7, $8 per pound, okay, where it used to be $4 or $5. So, it's definitely, you can definitely see it in everything that we do, right? So, I always like to chime in on the economy. I don't cover it all the time, but this is kind of like a glimpse. This is like a 7-month checkup, if you can kind of call it that, because we did one checkup around March just to see how we are. Now we're doing a checkup for the summer. We'll probably do two more. We'll do one for the fall, and then we'll do one for the end of the year to kind of track to see what kind of progress we are making, okay? But right now, I'm telling you guys, we just have to kind of stay clear. For me, I fill up my tank at the end of the week, or really the beginning of the week. I just fill it up because I know that the gas is going to kind of go up and down. So you might as well go ahead and fill it up while it's at the cheaper level versus waiting till the end of the week where the prices have already raised, right? So if you can't, then you just do what you can. But yeah, so this was just a checkup. Approval rating, of course, is not doing well. He was in the negative. I think it was like negative 47, I think it was. And then Biden was negative 45. Jimmy Carter was like negative 43. That's horrible, guys. So that's not good at all. So I don't understand why they're saying that this is, well, on the CNN front, it's not good. Now, on the MAGA front, of course, they're going to make him seem like he's doing a fantastic job, when in reality, it's furthest from the truth. Okay. So, but anyway, let's move forward with the next one. We're going to talk about Nolan Wells. There's a defense attorney who has gotten some information about the audio, and there's some GPS information about the boat that Nolan was on. So we're going to listen in on the Willie D section, and then we're going to dissect this video once it's over as well.
Willie D Live.
What's up, family? New audio GPS data and a grand jury review has put the Nolan Wells case directly in the spotlight. Joining us today is attorney Jack Palmieri to help break it all down and make some sense out of all of this. Jack, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning to you as well.
Absolutely, man. What I want to do is play the audio for you first and get your comments, and then we'll go over the GPS data.
Shedding light on the moments before some of Nolan Wells' friends left Horn Island off the coast of Mississippi. A mom of one of the friends last week said the group left without Nolan when their boat began malfunctioning.
We're sinking. Can you all please come?
NBC News has obtained audio as part of a records request that details the group calling for towing assistance.
And is everybody on board in good health otherwise?
Yeah, everybody's off the way.
Nolan went to the island in a boat with friends on July 4th. His body was found 2 days later. It's unclear whether Nolan was with anyone when he disappeared. This as the search for answers in the death of 18-year-old Nolan Wells continues. His family's attorneys saying they'll now work side by side with investigators to analyze Nolan's cell phone.
So everybody will be able to see at the same time what the cell phone has.
Nolan's parents previously said they believe content may have been deleted from the phone. The case will be presented to a Mississippi grand jury once the investigation is complete. The local district attorney telling NBC News that's a standard practice for cases with an unknown cause of death and not an indication that a crime was committed. Jackson County Sheriff John Ledbetter says his team has interviewed several witnesses and is working to get answers for the family. Do you feel like you're getting useful information that's been helpful to figuring out what happened?
Yes, sir. We're getting very useful information, and we appreciate the public coming forward with what they've had, and we don't want them to be hesitant.
Today, the family met with the district attorney for more than an hour.
It was just a meeting where she talked about the process. She didn't tell us any information about the investigation. We're trying to get to those answers.
As tonight, Nolan's family prepares to hold his funeral next week.
He would not want us to be sitting around crying and eating, and so what we're going to do is kind of have a party to celebrate him.
Tom, the state and independent autopsy results are not back yet. The family attorney says he does plan to release those details when he has them.
If you're in your mid to late 30s and you've got a mortgage, this is for you. I have a mortgage protection life insurance policy that pays me
All right, Jack. What's your first thoughts on this newly released audio?
So the audio, regardless of what you think of the narrative being put forth, it's consistent with the narrative. Okay, so it's consistent with, as I've read in other articles and other interviews and videos, it's that Nolan went to this party with a first group of friends on this first boat. Some of the stories I've seen, there are two kind of narratives out there. One narrative is Nolan decided to stay behind when this first boat was leaving. This first boat seemed to acknowledge it was taking on water. I guess it was a rental boat, and they wanted to get it back to the mainland before they wouldn't be able to. So the first group of friends got on the boat and returned back without Nolan. That's one of the stories I've seen just from reports that have come out from friends, from other young adults that were there. And we can get into why he may have stayed, later. So now, just listening to the audio, there are some things that I notice are there and are not there. The caller seems relatively calm, and you don't hear anything going on in the background. These are all young adults. The reality is a young man is not with us anymore. And if you are unfortunate enough to witness something like that, that is traumatic. I mean, no one's ready for that. And you don't hear anyone fussing in the background. It's a very calm call. It's very quiet, saying, hey, we're taking on water. We're fine. We're coming back. Now, again, I'm not saying you have to accept what's being said, but the way it's being said, I don't know that these young adults, 18, 19-year-olds and partying, that they are equipped to fabricate a real-time event. And it's consistent with the narrative that the boat was taking on water, had issues, was brought back, docked, was taken out of dock, and then the owner of the boat is also cooperating with law enforcement. So if you are of the belief, if you accept that no one stayed behind, the audio is consistent with that. And if you are unsure, which is very fair, because a lot of the information evidence has not come out yet. If you're unsure, or if you just don't accept that, you think he was on the boat, it's such a quiet call that I can't rule anything out. I was not there. I'm an outside observer, just like you. I can only, analyze what's we're being fed.
Okay, so let's chime in on what he just said. So what he's saying is when you listen to the call, I'm gonna chime in for just a second. It does sound like he's very calm, right? There's nothing on the background. There's nobody yelling, nobody screaming like help. If you're having difficulty and your boat is sinking, your boat is going down, okay, or it's not running, you would think there would be a little bit more, how can I say, more emphasis placed on that call, right? I mean, you're out in the middle of water here, okay? Now, like he was saying, do they have the magnitude to come up with a story that way and to be so far-fetched to the point where you're so calm, cool, and collected? Okay, again, someone is missing. Someone is deceased, okay? Now, whether they knew he was deceased or not, that's alleged. I'm not sure. We don't know. Nobody was there, unless But what I'm saying is that he's right. Where is the emotion behind that phone call? If you listen to 911 calls, most of the time it's calls of panic. It's help. I need help right now. Like, please get somebody out here ASAP. It's got to be some type of urgency, and we're just not hearing that. It's very nonchalant. Oh yeah, da 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 da. Not to say he's guilty or nothing like that. I'm just saying the way he's responding on the phone call seems a little bit too casual.
And because it's such an emotional event that's occurred, there's a lot of things at play here. Race, age, these are college kids, the community, so many things. I try to strip away the subjective stuff. I just look at it objectively. I try to just analyze it for what we have, not what we think it is. The call is consistent with one of the narratives.
How come they didn't ask the caller how many people are on the boat? Because that seemed like an obvious question to me.
Right.
Like, if I'm not even a 911 operator or a boat, marine, a maritime dispatcher, but I would say, well, how many people are on the boat? Because I need to know what kind of boat I need to bring to rescue y'all, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're invited to join Phoenix Energy's
Good
next
observation.
webinar, where you
Like
can
that.
drill deeper into our bond offerings. We currently offer 2 investment.
Great. So your concern is excellent, and it deviates just slightly from what the question would be. The most direct answer to your question, I don't know why dispatch did not ask the question. We're speculating, we can guess. And we're all Monday morning quarterbacking. We can all replay what's happened and say, you could have done this, you should have gone left when you went right. It's very easy for us to do that. I don't know why dispatch didn't ask the persons. What they did ask was, is everyone 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, and the 6 or 7 seems to be that number. If it was 6 or 7, depending on if you believe Nolan was there. But was everyone okay? That answer came back, yes, everyone is fine. Now, to your point, maybe they should have asked, how big is the boat? How big is what kind of boat you want? Oh, I'm a dinghy. It's like a 4-person dinghy, or we're on a mini yacht or something, or it's a catamaran versus a single hull. But also maybe because they called it in, but ultimately did not receive assistance. Why didn't they receive assistance? A different question. But the boat made it back independently. It was taking on water. It appears, if you accept the call for what it is, they were giving notice, look, we're having trouble, we're making it back, but we're here, in case the scenario could have been now the boat gets stranded midway, right? And I don't know what the communication systems were on the boat, but those are good questions. Maybe because it's their protocol, because there was no one that was said to be injured or said to be in peril. There was no distress in the call. You know, the dispatchers listening to it like we are. And because they had nothing more that they were asked to do, right? They could have gone, maybe to say, why didn't they go? You're right. These are kids on a boat. Send someone out anyway, right? That's what we pay tax dollars for. They didn't. And that's a fair question. And it would have helped to answer, was Nolan on the boat or not, right? It's a third party. Without someone else being there, we can't say for sure. Again, if you're questioning what's being given to us so far, we're asking these questions in part now because we've learned someone has passed. Someone's not with us anymore. This is an 18-year-old young man. You know, that's tragic. But if it had just been the boat took on water and got back and we're not talking about it today, maybe no one questions why more wasn't done because it wasn't given as an emergency situation.
So that's a good observation right there. What he's saying is because the call was so calm, cool, and collected, I guess the dispatch wasn't thinking that this was like that type of an emergency. And like Willie D was saying, why didn't they ask how many people was on the boat? You know, he probably would, or that person probably would have, if the caller who did the call, like he was saying, would have acted more with an urgency situation. But because he didn't, they didn't really follow through, which I feel like is not good, guys. And I'm telling you, this case is going to get really, really dirty. We're hearing conflicting information just from last week, guys. From this past Thursday to now, this Thursday, a lot of things are circulating. Remember last week we talked about how they said that they hadn't seen him since July the 4th. Then we see pictures on Monday saying that he was in the pool with people on July the 5th. And now it's circulating this evidence on the boat where everything is cool. It's like nobody knows anything. That's my whole thing. Now, I will say this. I have seen the mom speak out about this, but I haven't seen the dad say much. And maybe he has. I just missed it, which I think is kind of odd too. But still, at the same time, it's you don't see that urgency. You don't see them really trying to try to get this put together and get justice as soon as possible. Because I'm telling you guys, in this day, you have to look out for yourself. You have to look out your surroundings. You can't just let your kids just go out. And if you're alone, especially as a female, don't surround yourself with unfamiliar people, guys, especially if you're the only race in that whole group. Okay, so if you're the only black person in that group, that's not where you need to be. Okay, so if you're only white, that's not where you need to be. You need to be where there's a mixture of people. And I keep saying that, and I'm going to keep saying that, because we are letting people just wander off thinking everything is good. And guess what? This is the result of, well, I'm not going to say that this is the result, but you see what can happen when you're outnumbered. No one knows anything. And guess what? When the majority doesn't know anything, who do you think the law enforcement is going to believe? The majority. So, but anyway, guys, we're going to follow up on this on Monday of next week. And if you enjoyed the content, please hit like, share, and subscribe. And also, if you can, please hit the notification bell. That way you won't miss any episodes every time I come on to YouTube. I'll be back on Monday at 8 p.m. and that will be the last week of season 2 next week. We're going to do Monday and Thursday of next week. I'll be on vacation as well, but I'm also going to do some taping as well for my vacation days. So you'll still get to see me on next week. And then all of August will be shut down for a month because we are restructuring the show for season 3, which is going to start in September. So we're going to go through all of that on next Thursday and explain some of the details as far as what's to come and all the good things that we're going to be discussing coming into the year. All right, guys. So again, I hope everybody enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll talk with everyone soon. Take care. Bye-bye.